Mike Fairclough is the head teacher. He joins us now, and you can see he's brought some pretty alarming things in with him. Mike, we should just make clear, you've got an air rifle with you. It's not loaded. No. Well, it's interesting that you're encouraging the use of knives and guns in school at a time when actually, I mean, police officers would be horrified, surely.
Yeah. Well, I don't think so, actually. It's more about educating children about the safe use of these things. So, for example, when was the last time you used a knife?
Well, I use a knife every day because
there we go. But you're not going around and killing people, and so this is about these are tools. So if we take this one. This is a knife that we'd use with our year threes. It's blunt on this end, but it's sharp here. And we teach the children to safely whittle sticks and to do green woodworking skills. When they get to year six, they'll use this knife, which is a sharper one. It's probably the kind of knife you used last night when you were cooking, right? And again, this is a tool, it's not a weapon. This is obviously more controversial, but again, you know, we work...
It makes me nervous.
Yeah.
In fact, you've even got one in the studio.
Yeah, well, let me just show you this. So this is an air rifle. It's not loaded. I was asked not to bring a loaded gun to the studio as if I needed to be asked. But this...
Can't be sure with some of the stuff.
Yeah, this is actually my dad's rifle, and I grew up with this, and this is exactly the kind of rifle that we'd use with our children.
So tell me, Mike, what you're teaching the kids with the whittling and being out and about and using the knives is something that happens an awful lot with Cub Scouts and brownies and bits and pieces.
Absolutely.
The gun, the air rifle, is a very different thing. What are you doing? What are you shooting with the air rifle?
Yeah. So we're shooting targets, but remember we've got medals in the Olympics. And everyone celebrated this for clay pigeon shooting and also target practice. No one has ever said, when the Olympians have come back, said, "Oh, why were you shooting a gun?" So this is a sport for which we have previously had gold medals.
I'm sure you're a very responsible head teacher, and I'm sure you've had all the appropriate checks.
Yeah.
But anyone is going to have a concern with guns around children.
Absolutely, which is why we educate children about the safe use of guns. So we work closely with the British Association of Shooting and Conservation, BASC. Okay, so the guys who've taught our children to shoot are the same people who've taught Prince Harry and Prince William to shoot guns, and nobody...
Why do children need to know how to shoot a gun?
They don't need to, but we do need, within the countryside, we need to manage the countryside. So shotguns and air rifles are a tool to manage the countryside. If you don't control the pigeons and the rabbits in the countryside, then there won't even be vegetables for the vegetarians, let alone anything else.
Of course, and farmers can use air rifles to, you know, as they will, to get rid of vermin. But children don't need to, do they?
They don't need to.
Does the risk not outweigh the benefit?
No,
what
not at all.
happens if one of these children just misuses it?
Yeah, well, I think if you withhold opportunities from people, if you stop people from doing things, then they start to glamorise it, then they start to get a taste for it, and then then they're more likely to go out and do something dangerous or get a gun and, you know, feel it's like something which is exciting. Whereas teaching children responsibly about how to fire a rifle, the consequences of misuse, which are serious. You know, if I were to put the gun on the floor right now, that is not a danger to anyone. It's only if it's in the hands of someone and it's misused that it's a danger. So this is very much about education.
What's the worst injury that you've had at the school? Because I guess all of this sounds fantastic, and I absolutely know that had I been at your school, I would have thrived. I would have loved the opportunity to be outside. But when it goes wrong, as Susanna's pointing out, you just need one of these bullets or air pellets to go the wrong place, or a knife to slip, or accidentally for it to be a problem.
So underpinning everything that we do is a huge amount of planning, risk assessments, insurances. You know, I wouldn't go into just any school and say, "Oh, there's a gun, off you go, kids, have a nice time," or, you know, take a knife. It's done in a responsible and measured way. In terms of in answer to your question, the worst thing that's happened is a cut on the finger from a knife, and that's part of growing up. You know, we've all had cuts and bruises, and, you know, that's just the part of the knock of life.
And aside from the practical things that you're doing, academically, the school is... That's not all you do, is it? Academically, the school's thriving?
Well, I think that we do well academically because of this and not in spite of it. So in terms of our our standards. In the 2016 SATs, we were the top school for reading, writing and maths and spelling, punctuation and grammar in the local area, and in the top 5% of schools nationally as well. And that's because we're taking children outside, we're giving them real experiences, and, you know, it's like when you go outside and you get a child around a fire and there's the water buffalo roaming around and the wind blowing on their face. Children go back into the class and they write amazing things. It's like brings it to life.
We have to move away from the idea that certain breeds are more dangerous than others. They're not. It's down to us as owners. And I think compulsory education is the way to go in terms of fixing some of the problems that are being apportioned to certain types of dogs, which we've had for 25 years. If that had worked, we wouldn't be having